Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Sudas.
Thank you, Rod. A perfect August night on the prairie. Can the 6-0 Roughriders remain perfect as the 3-3 Stampeders have invaded Mosaic? We're just underway. The first possession, 5 plays for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They moved the football to the Calgary 48, and now on 3rd down, Jamie Morum will try and pin Calgary deep, aiming for the corner, but this will go into the end zone and will be a single point. So Saskatchewan strikes first, 3 minutes and 14 seconds into the game. The starting quarterbacks tonight, brought to you by Wendy's.
Henry Burris, 5 games this year, over 300, 5 of the 6, and yet in his last 3, just 2 wins. And tonight it'll be Marcus Crandall again. Marcus Crandall, of course, starting last week versus the Calgary Stampeders. Got off to a good start in the first quarter, and nice little drive to start this game as well with those 5 plays to get some field position.
So Henry Burris, here's the welcome back. Jeers, 5-3 in the regular season as a quarterback at Calgary against Saskatchewan. Play action, and Burris takes off, and he has a first down up to the 49-yard line. Burris with 14 on Calgary's first offensive play.
In the backfield, once again, for the Calgary Stampeders will be Joffrey Reynolds with a 5.9-yard average after 6 games. Receiving core, Nick Lewis has really started to heat up over the last couple of games at the slot back position, just shy of 400 on the season. And Ben Archibald plays for Antonio Hall. Second start for him at tackle.
First and 10. Teo Johnson in the backfield for blocking, but they get to Burris, who throws a pick. Intercepted by Anton McKenzie after heavy pressure on Henry Burris.
This defense just flies around. Anton McKenzie, his 2nd interception of the year. There's a little drive, got 5 plays, got some field position, put their defense out there, and 2 linebackers working in tandem, including Anton McKenzie with the interception, come up with the first turnover of this game early on.
Maurice Lloyd with the hurry. McKenzie with his 2nd interception. He had 7 tackles last week, and it sets the Roughriders up at the Calgary 45-yard line. Marcus Crandall dumps it off. Here's Wes Cates. And he's pushed out at the 36, close to a first down. Let's take another look at the first turnover of the game.
The middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd, lines up right here. What he's going to do is come right off the edge. He is not blocked by Teo Johnson, basically playing that fullback spot. That is the pressure on Henry Burris. He's just trying to throw it away, but because of the hustle from Anton McKenzie, you can see he just flies over there and intercepts this football. Burris is just trying to save the loss.
That might have been would have been a good sack to take. 2nd and 2. Cates, first run of the game for Wes Cates. And he didn't get much close to the first down. Wes Cates with 160 yards from scrimmage on Saturday against this Calgary defense.
Everyone in this province, they gave him the first down. He got a good spot on that football, but everyone in this province wondering if the Saskatchewan Roughriders can improve to 7-0. Something they have never done in the history of the franchise. The last time they were 6-0, 1934. They are on a roll, winning last 9 games going back to last year. And can they keep it going with all these injuries?
14 wins in their last 15 starts. First down at the 35. Crandall on a roll and a pump. And now deep, looking for Corey Grant. Well, that one almost picked off Wes Lysak. The Stampeders safety, closest man to the ball.
You mentioned Marcus Crandall's your starting quarterback. Wes Cates has been the offense. Well over 200 yards rushing in the last 2 games, including 139 last week versus Calgary. Wes Dressler back in the receiving core. The offensive line with Belton Johnson playing at tackle for Glenn January.
So 2nd and 10. 5 receivers out, quick hitter. Darius Bowman has his 2nd catch of the game. And lunging to the 29-yard line, he'll be short of the first down.
And the Calgary Stampeders, I mentioned the other side with Saskatchewan at 6-0. The Stampeders losing their last 2 football games, but when you look at all these games for Calgary, the 3 losses, 8 points total combined in those 3 losses, all in the final minute of the game. A lot of people saying that this team could be 6-0 as well.
So here's Kanji, who had his first miss last week, late in the game, 15 of 16 on the season. This from 36 yards out, and he's good again. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders add 3 more on the turnover. Field goal after the interception tossed by Henry Burris. And the Stamps trail by 4 as they go back on offense at their own 35. In a raucous Mosaic, that pass complete. 9-yard pickup, and the catch is made by Kenyon Rambo.
Let's take a look at that Saskatchewan Roughrider defense. Number 1 in the league against the run, number 2 against the pass. Deke Bake, that rush in, had a big sack last week versus the Calgary Stampeders. You look at the linebacking core, already big plays made by Anton McKenzie, maybe their best player on defense this year. And there's the secondary with Tad Cornegay out at corner.
9 for Rambo, 2nd and 1, and Joffrey Reynolds gets to the edge and into Saskatchewan territory, finally pushed out by Omar Morgan on Reynolds' first carry of the night.
Well, it looks like the Calgary Stampeders have settled down. The outcome of a field goal after that turnover is not a bad outcome for a team on the road in hostile territory, a sellout crowd here at Mosaic Stadium. They're settling down their offense now with a little bit of run game and get Joffrey Reynolds involved.
46 yards last week for Reynolds, 93 from scrimmage. As Wes Cates outshone the Calgary running back on Saturday night. First down, short drop, and the quick hitter caught by Rambo. 2nd catch of the drive, 39th of the year. He leads the CFL in receptions.
Leads in receptions, and right behind him in the receiving, when you talk about receivers in the league, is Nick Lewis when it comes to catches coming into this game. There's Kenyon Rambo, that's his 38th. 32 for Nick Lewis. He's heating up of late. Played very well in the loss to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Nice combination between Rambo and Lewis.
Lewis with 21 catches in the last 3 games. 2nd and 5. Burris guns. Ryan Thelwell the catch. And he's got a first down at the 28-yard line in front of Tad Cornegay, the man on the corner replacing the injured Johnson.
Yeah, James Johnson out there on the corner. I like what Henry Burris did here is to extend the play and allow Ryan Thelwell to open up. You see how he drops straight back and then flares out to the right, gets in behind the tackle. That gives him a bit of a throwing lane, and it gives Thelwell a little more time.
19 for Thelwell, who has not been used much this year. Just his 5th catch. Joffrey Reynolds, left side, big hole, and Reynolds thunders to the 18-yard line, and another first down.
I was taking a look at the carries for Joffrey Reynolds over the last 6 games, the 6 games in this season. It's basically on pace from a year ago. Last year, he averaged just shy of 12 carries a game. This year, he's just shy of 11 at 10.5. So he's being used about the same as he was last year so far. I think everyone in Calgary would like to see him touch the ball a little more.
Wes Cates with 120 touches coming in. Reynolds 110. First down. The fake to Reynolds. There's Nick Lewis the catch. And he'll be brought down by the Sam linebacker, Sean Lucas.
You know, this offense in Calgary has not been playing that badly. In fact, Henry Burris, 5 out of 6 games, over 300 yards passing. You look at their statistics in the league rankings, they're first in yards of offense, well over 400 first downs passing. Completion percentage way up there. Would have been better if not for some drops last week versus Saskatchewan for Henry Burris. That's not bad offensively. Should be good enough to win.
15 touchdowns for George Cortez's offense in 23 trips to the red zone. Burris flushed, for touchdown, Henry Burris.
Touchdown, Calgary.
An 11-yard run capping an impressive drive for the Stampeders.
It's an impressive drive because of the influence of Joffrey Reynolds. To get Joffrey Reynolds involved early in this drive, now the linebackers, Anton McKenzie, Maurice Lloyd, are looking at Reynolds first. That freezes him. It gives a little escape lane for Henry Burris, and then he uses good speed to get to that corner.
So after a little early adversity, the first possession interception, the Stampeders show a little resilience and bounce right back. And DeAngelis adds the extra point, and Calgary has its first lead of the night. Back at Mosaic Stadium, Stampeders taking the lead on a 7-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. Weston Dressler back to return kicks. After the injury in Hamilton, they pulled hamstring, and he brings it back to the 34, and we will return to Mosaic Stadium. Morrison.
Already the injuries concern for the Riders here tonight. Belton Johnson, offensive lineman, gone for x-rays to an ankle. The list has been unbelievable. As we look at this closer, this is just a list of receivers and running backs that have been injured so far. 18 man games lost, including 3 broken legs. It has been unbelievable. Coach Ken Miller happy to have Chris Arca and Weston Dressler back tonight. He thinks Dressler may be the deep threat for the Riders on offense this evening. Chris?
Marcus Crandall unable to play in 3 games because of injury. Darian Durant, a couple of games now out with ribs, and short gain there by Wes Cates. And the offensive line has had to be revamped, as Ray mentioned. There's Chris Best now at left guard, and Gene Mikowski out to tackle in the absence of Belton Johnson.
Ray mentioned amazing, and what is amazing is that through all of those injuries, and there were some big names on that list, Andy Fantus, Matt Dominguez, through those injuries, 6-0.
Yard for Cates, a 2nd and 9, and Cates in motion out of the backfield. Crandall has an open man and a catch, and that's Michael Palmer with his first grab of the day.
77, Michael Palmer, first down Riders. Another Rider first down, another donation.
Henry Burris has given Calgary the lead on that 11-yard touchdown run. And now the Roughriders will try to respond.
Well, they've got an answer coming right away in a nice little drive that starts with a quick play inside to Palmer, who just sits down in that zone defense. The Calgary Stampeders giving him a little bit of room, and Crandall has him rolling.
Well, you mentioned all those injuries to people like Flick and Fantus. Guys like Palmer have to step up, and again, Wes Cates, nothing doing. And there's Juwan Armour, who talked about shutting down Cates in this rematch.
Very vocal. Marcus Parker in the defensive line for the Calgary Stampeders for Howard Hodges. He was a late scratch, and Juwan Armour has started in 3 games, but only played 2. The Canadian Football League has apologized for his ejection a week ago in play 2 of that game versus Saskatchewan. It was a mistake, but Armour back in the middle, and there's the secondary with Julian Battle at halfback for his second start for Brandon Smith.
So again, 2nd and 9. 3-man rush. Crandall has time, looking for Dressler, and it's incomplete. Overthrown by a stride to Weston Dressler.
Milton Collins, the extra defensive back for the Calgary Stampeders, comes in there, and he's going to play deep in the middle and basically read Marcus Crandall as he kind of tries to look him off down the middle, waits for Dressler to come all the way across from the left side of the formation, or yeah, offensive left to the right, but you can see the timing from Milton Collins. And no contact, or minimal, so he doesn't draw a penalty flag.
So Jamie Borum to kick it away. And Marcus Howell is deep from his 17. And Howell, good return, steps out at the 33-yard line. Well, Henry Burris looked good on that last drive. He says they have not been clicking on all cylinders in Calgary, but getting closer.
we're playing good as an offense, but we're not clicking. And you can definitely tell, because when we're a consistent offense. And we're hoping this is the game that allows us to be that consistent offense. But we know we are very close, and that's why we always say when this team finally breaks out and gets over that hump that we're stuck at right now, it's going to be scary to see how good we'll be.
Trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. Don't want to go into the bye with 3 straight losses. Burris swings it out, and there's Nick Lewis. And Lewis has a first down across the 45.
You know, I would tend to agree with Henry Burris and what he just said about this offense, with him throwing the ball as well as he has. Last week, you got to keep in mind, he completed just over 50% of his passes, but had 7 drops, uncharacteristic for this Calgary offense with such a dynamic receiving corps. If he had those 7 catches, which were in the receiver's hands, he would have been over 70% again.
First and 10 from the 46. And he delivers the football complete. And Nick Lewis again. They're checking that Demetrius Summers has the catch, and another first down into Rough Rider territory.
And I think that's what Henry Burris was talking about. He was talking about, we're putting up yards, we're putting up some points, we're moving the football, but we're not really clicking. Those drops from last week showed you those few plays that they're not clicking. Those were for first downs a lot of times. Those keep the chains going. He's got something rolling right now, though.
Felt they only played 1 good quarter on Saturday. The 4th waited too long. Much better tonight since the opening possession interception. And now he'll lunge forward to the 45 and get 5 more on the ground with 4 seconds left in this opening quarter.
I like some of the plays that George Cortez is calling for the Calgary Stampeders here, because he's involved in the last series, Joffrey Reynolds. That's a seed that's planted in the minds of the Saskatchewan defense. That quarterback draw, which was a called play to Henry Burris, that also plants a seed in the minds of the linebacking corps for Saskatchewan. They may run, they may attack the middle with Reynolds. That keeps them guessing a little bit.
Only 29% on second down conversions last week, 2nd and 5. And the catch is made in a first down, and Jermaine Copeland, working against Eddie Davis, moves the chains on the final play of the opening quarter. And the Stampeders have the lead. Are brought to you by Tim Hortons, always fresh, always.
Good start for the Calgary Stampeders when you think about last week and how they got off to a really poor start offensively. 124 net yards, ahead of Saskatchewan in that category after the first quarter. Remember, last week it was 21-7 at half for Saskatchewan, and that was just enough. They got 1 point in the second half.
And that's been a trend for them on the road this year and in their 3 losses. They get behind early. They make it close at the end, so they have to be encouraged by the way they rebounded from a very early miscue.
Well, yeah, that first interception where Henry Burris was trying to just get rid of the football and save a sack, Anton McKenzie picks that one off. So after that start, they fight through adversity and have a couple of offensive series back-to-back now. Good sign for the Calgary Stampeders.
And they have something rolling here again as we start the second quarter. First down Stamps at the Saskatchewan 41. And Burris very quickly into the hands of Lewis again. And Sean Lucas there, Nick Lewis with his 3rd catch in the game already.
Sean Lucas makes the tackle for the Riders.
21 catches in the last 3 games and 3 more in just over a quarter tonight.
Well, Nick Lewis is so strong in the open field. He's not the guy that's going to have the best average when you look at his 32 catches. He's not going to be up there around 20 yards a catch, but he'll make you miss once he has the ball in a little 5 or 8 yard catch.
6 for Lewis, 2nd and 4. Flag down, and that pass complete to Lewis. Well, let's find out what the penalty marker, a procedure call against the Stampeders, some movement on that line.
Well, I guess you can say that the offensive line for the Calgary Stampeders.
Calgary, number 64. 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
You should be able to cut them a little bit of slack in that they now have 3 rookies on that offensive line. The only veterans, Rob Lazio and Jeff Pilon, the tackle.
And Pilon was the man who jumped. Penalties an issue Saturday when they took 11 for 129 yards. So 2nd and 9, first penalty. Working in the din of Mosaic. Reynolds released, and that pass nearly picked off Anton McKenzie in the neighborhood again.
That 13th man for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, so important. Henry Burris cannot even call the signals when he's in the shotgun. Watch what he has to do with his foot down here to order to get the football. Well, just prior to that, he lifted his foot up and put it down because he cannot call. That means he cannot audible on the line of scrimmage. He can't change the plays because the crowd is just too loud.
A hurry from Luke Mullender and an incompletion. And DeAngelis comes in. Attempting a 46-yarder. He missed on a 54-yarder last week into the wind on the final play of the game. And Sandro worked that one in nicely and nails it. And it's a 10-4 Calgary lead. Last week.
That was a tough one.
Big toss, and now Crandall over the middle, and Dressler drops the ball.
You had to kind of step around the linebacker, Dwayne Carpenter, there to come up with that catch. You know, Wes Dressler, another one of the receivers and the players that have stepped in for Ken Miller. We showed you all those injuries, and Ray Morrison showed you how many the Riders have had. It's like a MASH unit here in Saskatchewan, but it's been everybody is taking a turn. It doesn't matter if you're the 47th man on the roster or the first man, the star on the roster. When it's your turn, you step up. That's what Saskatchewan has done. That's one of the reasons they're 6-0.
Dressler, of course, outstanding in Hamilton before he pulled the hamstring on the final play. 6 catches, 112 yards, and it's dumped off. Here's Cates. And again, Calgary swarming to Wes Cates here in the opening half, and he'll be stopped after a gain of 5.
So it doesn't matter where in the roster that you lined up to start the season or where you were as the season went on. You remember coming out of training camp, everyone talked about Darius Bowman. No one really knew if he could play. Well, he stepped up and made a big play in the first game against the Edmonton Eskimos. This was Dressler. You mentioned the Hamilton game after they lost DJ Flick. How about Donate Hurd, a defensive back I've never heard of? He makes a big play versus Calgary, and that was Deke Bake with a big sack last week as well. It doesn't matter who they are, they're stepping up and making plays.
It is a complete team story here in Saskatchewan. Short punt, and it finally rolls out at the 46-yard line. Calgary football when we come back. By Jamie Borum. Great field position. Calgary starting at their own 45 with a 6-point lead. Burris looks one way, and now looking deep. Jump ball, and it's knocked down. Omar Morgan in tight coverage against Kenyon Rambo.
Omar Morgan was very composed when the ball arrived. He never was fooled by this double move by Kenyon Rambo, who is the outside player right here. It's the wide receiver, and Henry Burris has this isolation route from the start of this play all the way to the end. He tried to get Omar Morgan to bite on a pump fake, but Morgan didn't. He knew Rambo just went straight down the field, so he's composed when the ball arrived.
You mentioned that Burris has 5 straight 300-yard games. Got to 300 last week on that final play, the simultaneous catch by Copeland that went for 50 yards. There's Brett Ralph with his first of the game. He was the favorite target last week, 7 catches, 78 yards, although he was also guilty of a couple of drops.
Yeah, I think he had 3 last week, and he's better than that as well with 24 catches coming in. Watch how Henry Burris has to lift his right leg. That's what I showed you in the last series. That's the 13th man. Sellout at Mosaic Stadium. He can't audible. When he lifts his leg like that, then Rob Lazio can snap it anytime he wants. Tough for the receivers to get timed up, though. They have to look at his leg.
18 yards. Now Reynolds with a spin, a straight arm, and a great run inside the 40-yard line. Joffrey Reynolds.
Joffrey Reynolds off to a good start in this game, and one of the reasons for that is the Riders all season long have been so good at gang tackling. Reynolds doesn't very often, or backs that play Saskatchewan, doesn't very often get a one-on-one where he can try and make a move. That was Deke Bake that he did that little spin move on, because there's always 3 or 4 other tacklers right there.
And in the matchup, we'll be watching all night. Reynolds with a early lead in rushing yards, looking for his first 100-yard game since the first week of the season. He ran for 120 against BC, and he runs for a first down here inside the 35.
Joffrey Reynolds on this play saw something in the defense, and he started to bend. He's right there, and watch how Joffrey Reynolds, as he takes the football, starts to bend this side. He sees an opening just as he's receiving it. Watch how he bends. This is supposed to be right up the middle. Now he bends to his left because he sees that open side start to collapse. Great vision from Joffrey Reynolds.
You know, he said yesterday that this offense has not been confident the past 2 weeks. It looks very confident so far tonight.
It does, and it looks more confident in that Joffrey Reynolds has seen the ball a lot more early on.
And another Rough Rider injury. Omar Morgan has taken a knee. He's getting attention, and Burris heads to the bench to confer with George Cortez. And James Patrick now the corners. In the absence of Omar Morgan, the second Rough Rider to go down so far tonight. 1st and 10, Reynolds again. And Joffrey Reynolds shredding the Saskatchewan defense so far.
He's running on instinct. First of all, he's getting the block at the line of scrimmage, and the offensive line for Calgary really didn't have their best game a week ago. Certainly, they would be the first to tell you that. But there's that initial hole for Joffrey Reynolds. He can hit that now. Once he's got that initial hole, then it's one-on-one on a linebacker. Nice little move by instinct alone from Joffrey Reynolds on Anton McKenzie for a few extra yards. Running backs need that hole at the line of scrimmage, and then their instincts kick in, and they can just feel where the pressure's coming from and break opposite.
So less than a yard to go for a first down. 4 times. There's the offense that is clicking tonight. After the early interception by Henry Burris, it's been all Calgary in offense since. I was going to say Wes Cates has played Joffrey Reynolds 4 times since the trade and has outrushed Reynolds 3 of those times. Reynolds with the upper hand so far tonight. 2nd and less than a yard. And Burris pushing behind the former Rough Rider, Rob Lazio, the center. And they push the pile, and yes, producer John Hines with a good point. That was not the play call last week on 3rd and a yard that turned out to be the TSN turning point.
Key play in the 4th quarter where they went with Joffrey Reynolds, turned around and handed deep back in the backfield to Reynolds, and he was stuffed at the line, and a key turnover on downs for Saskatchewan that time. No mistake there. Burris just follows right behind Rob Lazio.
I don't think Matt Dunnigan and Jock Climby were enamored with that play call last week. First down. Reynolds again, chewing it up right into the heart of that defense.
Well, the gamble that you take when you try and go deep in the backfield like this they did last week is that you allow the defense to rally to the point of attack. And certainly Saskatchewan, you can see 4 or 5 hats on the ball there, and that turned Joffrey Reynolds back about a half a yard short. A huge play in that game, and a 1-point win for Saskatchewan.
Only one featured tailback has rushed for over 50 yards in a game against Saskatchewan this year. That's Jesse Lumsden, but Reynolds has 55. Cut down that time. Tad Cornegay from the corner with a sure tackle.
That's a defensive back just using his speed and his ability to change directions, and Tad Cornegay to just cut the legs out right there of Joffrey Reynolds. He thought he could get the corner and bounce outside, and if he's hit high, the matchup goes to Joffrey because he's stronger and he weighs 220. But Tad Cornegay went low at 185, and he wins it because he cut his feet out.
One of those depth players in the Saskatchewan system, pressed into service. And so on 3rd and a long yard, it'll be DeAngelis. And he'll attempt from 21 out. And Sandro puts it through. And the Calgary Stampeders extend the lead to 13-4. Well, Wendy's Friday Night Football continues tomorrow night. Another doubleheader of CFL action. Game 1, the Alouettes take on the Blue Bombers in Winnipeg. And Game 2, we'll see the Edmonton Eskimos at 4-2 take on the BC Lions in the second half of their home-and-home series. Live coverage begins 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, and it is available in TSN HD.
Joe Smith not in the lineup for that game tomorrow night for the BC Lions. Stefan Logan gets another start at tailback. Little shake-up by Wally Buono.
We're midway into the second quarter here, and there's a little heat now on the Saskatchewan offense to get things going. Down now by 9. 2 backs. Chris Zarka leading the way. Cates trying to get outside. Cuts it back, and there's not much there so far. Julian Battle stepped up. Juwan Armour at the bottom of the pile.
Juwan Armour, you mentioned off the top, was very vocal about Wes Cates' 139 yards. Armour played 2 plays and then had to watch the rest of the game from inside the locker room. And Juwan Armour is a difference maker. That's a key matchup when you're looking at the middle linebacker of a defense, where Juwan Armour is now in his 4th start and 3rd game against the tailback in Wes Cates on offense. The middle linebacker is the run stopper.
Just a yard for Cates. 2nd and 9. Labinjo leaned, flag down. Darius Bowman goes high and brings it down, a catch and a first down. And Bowman, a big target anyway at 6'4", goes vertical to bring down that Marcus Crandall pass.
With the luxury of having a tall receiver, you can throw it away from the danger areas. Darius Bowman had guys on either side of him. Crandall threw it up high where he could only outjump his opponent and go get it.
Couple of penalties. Labinjo was offside, but there's also a holding call indicated by Kim Murphy, in charge tonight.
Offside, number 42, Calgary. Holding, Saskatchewan, number 60. Balanced at the line of scrimmage, back 5 yards, 2nd down repeated.
So veteran Gene Mikowski called on the hold.
You know, the other thing that people haven't talked about this week is when Juwan Armour went out of the game last week, it changed the responsibilities for Mike Labinjo. He had to go from that rush in where he'd practiced all week. He had his mental game preparation ready to go and then moved back into the middle. Saskatchewan took advantage of that change. They're having a lot more trouble tonight running the football with Wes Cates.
2nd and 14 after the penalties. Time for Crandall, and he misfires there, looking for Corey Grant on what would have been a very short gain anyway.
I talked about this matchup, Juwan Armour. Some Saskatchewan fans having some fun. But Juwan Armour had 3 starts, 2 games that he played in. The 2 games he played in was against Avon Coburn, pretty good running back out in Montreal, held him to 23 yards rushing, the defense did. And then Trey Smith, who played for Hamilton, Jesse Lumsden was out, 9 carries, 32 yards. Those were the 2 games that Armour played in the middle. Of course, last week they gave up 139 with Mike Labinjo. Not Labinjo's fault. He was practicing as a rush end all week and had to be forced into that middle linebacker spot. But they're a lot better with Juwan Armour in his natural position.
Jamie Borum to kick. And Marcus Howell steps up. Another short punt, and the return across the 50-yard line by Marcus Howell as we join Ray Morrison.
Well, Chris, the news here isn't good. Belton Johnson, a fractured fibula. 5 broken legs for the Saskatchewan Roughriders so far this season. It has been unbelievable. On defense, Omar Morgan suffering from headaches, and there may be some changes in the secondary for the Riders here, too, as the injuries mount on Saskatchewan's side.
Ray, you know, unbelievable is probably the most overused word in our business, but it is unbelievable. 5 fractured fibulas. Ivan Goodfriend, the longtime trainer here, said he hadn't seen 3 in 30 years. And 5 now on the season. That dart thrown and caught. Great catch by Copeland. Just inches off the turf.
And Copeland, who really needs to get going in this offense, gets a catch here. And I'm starting to wonder when Henry Burris will go out and attack the corners of the Saskatchewan Roughriders with their wideouts, because Tad Cornegay not a starter, James Johnson out, and James Patrick now forced into action with Omar Morgan out. So 2 new corners out there. We'll see if Calgary goes after that area.
1st and 10, back in Roughrider turf. And Brett Ralph, another catch inside. And he's drilled by Patrick.
Normally, it would be the short side of the field that a quarterback would really attack a corner and could get a matchup by formation. In other words, he could put 3 or 4 receivers, Burris could, to the wide side of the field, and then try and get a one-on-one on the backside, maybe Kenyon Rambo on James Patrick, and see how he holds up. I know a lot of offensive coordinators are reluctant to game plan for one guy, but you got to think that Burris is tempted to try and test him.
By the way, on that long list of injuries, Denete Hurd, who had his first start last week, out at least 2 to 3 weeks with strained knee ligaments. 2nd and 4 after the Ralph reception, a pump, and Burris runs upfield and taken down by Deke Bake. And he should be close to the first down. Not as much heat up front from the Roughriders after 24 hurries last week against Henry Burris.
24 hurries, and a hurry defensively, Chris, is almost as good as a sack. It really is, because it can cause a turnover. It obviously causes a quarterback to never find that comfort zone. And Henry Burris did not look comfortable last week as opposed to the rest of the games that he's played this year.
First down for Henry Burris. Scott Schultz had 7 in the game. He said a good game for him is usually 4. And Ron Este said it was the most hurries by a Saskatchewan defense since he's been here in charge of that front group.
Well, the quarterback for the offense, in this case Burris, just can't get comfortable, can't set up and step into a throw when he's getting those hurries.
Stampeders have scored on 3 consecutive drives. In the score zone, are getting close again this time. Reynolds snuffed. Not much there as Kitwana Jones slams the door.
When you talk about this Saskatchewan defense, though, and we've talked about changes, Tad Cornegay, James Patrick, the most recent now. You look at this Richie Hall defense, you have to search for the big-name stars. Who are the big-name stars in Richie Hall's squad? You could say Eddie Davis, who's a veteran, who's having a consistent year, but not his best year. But they play together. 12 men, 12 hats on the ball. That's why they've been successful in this defense, among the top in the league.
2nd and 8. Calgary trying to convert, and that pass misses the target intended for Nick Lewis. So the Stamps drive stops. 3-minute warning here at Mosaic. Check in with the boys on the panel, see what they think of this first half and that convincing Hamilton Tiger Cat win over their rivals from Toronto tonight.
Yeah, that's a big one for a couple of reasons for Hamilton. One, they climb right back up in the race in the East, but 2, that's bragging rights.
Is this stadium not unbelievable?
It's a little fun, isn't it?
Sandro back in. DeAngelis attempting a 43-yarder. And DeAngelis is on the money again. 4th straight drive, but the Stampeders have put points on the board and now lead 16-4.
Well, they're chipping away. They're not finishing off with touchdowns, but they're quieting this crowd, this insane crowd in Mosaic. 12 straight sellouts. You know, and I've heard rumors that both the provincial government here in Saskatchewan and the municipal government here in Saskatchewan are already talking about stadium improvement plans, the possibility of building a completely new stadium, and the possibility of hosting the Grey Cup in 2013 in a new facility. That's how close they're getting, and the more this stadium is sold out, the closer they get to the new facility or upgrades in this one.
Roughriders need to make something happen, and there's Marcus Crandall with the completion. Michael Palmer has his 2nd catch of the game.
First down, Riders.
You just start to shake your head with the names that keep coming up for Saskatchewan. That Michael Palmer's always sort of been a journeyman receiver, and he's made 3 big catches in this game already. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders need it, but they need to capitalize. They need some points on this drive.
Now they go fire offense, no huddle. 1st and 10. Here's a good quick hitter. And Palmer dropped it. And who's on it? Looks like Stampeders got the football. Will there be a challenge? Was that a catch? Palmer puts it on the turf, and the Stampeders are on it.
Well, this is a caused fumble from the Calgary Stampeders defense because it was the hit on Palmer that knocked it out of there. Palmer sits down to the left of your screen. Crandall hits him on a quick hitter. Now he's up and with control. Ball comes out there on that hit. Not sure, was it Juwan Armour who came up with it, or was it Calvin Bannister, the defensive back? There's the hit. It was Bannister that knocked it out.
And now the challenge has been thrown. They waited till the coaches upstairs had a good look at that replay, and Ken Miller has thrown the challenge flag first time tonight.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the challenge is from Ken Miller. Was it whether or not this was a catch and considered a catch and then a fumble, or was it that Mike Palmer's knee was down? Now he has the catch and his knee's down, but he's not been contacted. Now he's up. Now, does he have control of the ball? I would consider that movement of him getting up and turning would be control. Then the hit comes from the Calgary Stampeder, but not until his knee is off the turf. So he wasn't down by contact there, and he's not down till that ball's out. So it'll be interesting to see what Ken Miller is actually challenging here.
Saskatchewan
Of course, remember
challenging
our
a ruling
game
on
here.
the field of a fumble.
So the challenge being made on the fumble, and we had a challenge in the Toronto Argonaut game here that was overturned. I was a little surprised that the Stampeders didn't challenge whether or not Matt Dominguez caught the ball last week when he fumbled and Wes Cates scooped up the fumble and ran for a touchdown. I'm not saying it shouldn't have stood, but I thought it was worth the challenge in the late stages of the first half.
Boy, that turned out to be a big play as Wes Cates got the bounce right in his hands. Good hustle by Cates on that play. They didn't challenge that. Ken Miller is challenging whether or not that was a fumble. Didn't look like Palmer was down by contact. He had his knee back up off the turf, and I think this stands as called.
And if it does stand, it would even up the turnover battle on the night and give the Stampeders a chance to really take charge of this game at the half.
Yeah, it looked like Ken Miller just thought that when Palmer had his knee down, that he may have been contacted there, which would have been down by contact and a catch for Saskatchewan. But our replay showed you that he had lifted his knee up and turned to try and run. And when he did that, then he was hit. So I think Ken Miller saw this and thought he may have been touched down by contact there with his knee on the ground. That would be first down for Saskatchewan. He wasn't, though. That knee came up, he turned, then he was hit by Bannister.
After review, the player caught the ball, fumbled the ball, change of possession. First down.
Call stands. The right call was made.
Absolutely.
And a free challenge for Ken Miller. It was worth taking the chance with 2:14 left in this first half. And here are the Stampeders taking over at their 52. Calgary's lost the turnover battle in 5 of their 6 games this year. They only won a +5 in their convincing win over Hamilton. They're even tonight. 1 turnover apiece. And a catch by Kenyon Rambo in front of Tad Cornegay.
This is a great start for John Huffnagel's Calgary Stampeders, and something that's different than what they've done coming into this game. Calgary Stampeders in the first half, points this season. That's a -14 discrepancy for Calgary, and they're off to a good start here on the road in a sold-out Mosaic Stadium, and through an interception on their first series.
Fake to Reynolds, and Henry Burris takes off. And a feet-first slide at the 30-yard line. A first down for Calgary.
This play does not have a chance unless Joffrey Reynolds is established early on in this game in the first quarter. Calgary's first touchdown drive had a lot of Joffrey. Now, look at Anton McKenzie, hold in that middle spot. He's right here. Look at him just hang on. He's trying to stop and wait and spy. And there's the fake. He slides over to Reynolds, and look how much room that Henry Burris has on the outside.
15-yard run. First and 10 at the Roughrider 30-yard line. Time for Burris dumping it off over the middle. And again, Demetrius Summers has the catch.
Well, that was a tough catch for Summers. That's back out of the backfield. And he had to sort of weave his way to get open in the first place. Maurice Lloyd and Anton McKenzie there. He kind of has to weave his way, and then that ball is kind of down low. He has to go down and get it off his knee. Good catch and a tough one.
High school phenom in South Carolina. Demetrius Summers has a couple of catches in this opening half. Stamps want to finish some drives. They've got one touchdown, but have settled for DeAngelis field goals. Joffrey Reynolds crashing down inside the 10. Close to another first down.
You remember the Chicago Bulls days when, you know, when Michael Jordan was hot. He was in that groove. You could just tell, and his teammates could tell. Joffrey Reynolds is in that groove. He is making these cuts right here. These cuts back against the flow. He's doing them on instinct. He's not chopping his feet. It's smooth motion from Joffrey Reynolds, and Calgary Stampeders would be well advised just keep feeding him the rock because he's in that zone.
Already 20 more yards in this game than all of last Saturday against that Rough Rider defense. Second and a yard. And Kenyon Rambo taking the end around. And he gets to the 5 and down to the 3-yard line.
85, Kenyon Rambo.
First down, Stampeders inside the 5.
With lots of time and capitalizing right now, or at least with a golden opportunity to capitalize on a turnover. That's the one thing that John Huffnagel coming in wanted to change. He wanted to change that giveaway-takeaway ratio for Calgary, and they're working at it. They're getting better at it. This is a chance to take advantage of their own turnover, a takeaway, and put a major on the board.
Under a minute to go. Fourth visit to the red zone, a touchdown, 2 field goals so far. And Joffrey Reynolds, touchdown.
And off goes to number 21, Joffrey Reynolds.
That's how smooth it's been for Joffrey Reynolds, because last week he would have been caught in the backfield for a 3-yard loss. This week he cuts back, hits the hole, and finds the end zone. Last week, Saskatchewan got similar penetration. Anton McKenzie was back there. They got Tad Cornegay back there. Neither of them could bring down Reynolds, who's seeing it tonight.
6th touchdown of the year for Joffrey Reynolds. A costly turnover by the Rough Riders. And DeAngelis adds the extra point. And it's a 19-point lead here in the first half at Mosaic. And that tells you everything you need to know about the first half.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Wes Cates coming off such a big game, 139 last week, as we mentioned. But prior to that, the week before against Toronto, Cates had 130. And right now, Joffrey Reynolds, after that touchdown, now he's leading the way against his former teammate.
Juwan Armour, Wes Cates exchange pleasantries in the media this week. Joffrey Reynolds never says much, but he's speaking volumes in the first half tonight.
Well, they did ask him about the matchup between he and Cates, and Reynolds said this week, he said, look, it doesn't really matter who wins the rushing title. He said, as long as you win that Grey Cup ring, and that's what Joffrey Reynolds is looking for, the Grey Cup ring. The rushing title is nice, but that's an individual deal, and it really doesn't add up to a whole lot if you don't have a Grey Cup ring.
5 consecutive drives have resulted in Calgary points. So at the end of that play, Reynolds roll up a little bit on Kenyon Rambo, who looks like he's okay, but it could have been the only downside of this first half since the early interception thrown by Henry Burris.
Yeah, the other big difference in this game, Chris, Juwan Armour. When you compare Cates' numbers with Joffrey Reynolds' numbers, now they don't play against each other, but that's still a comparison of tailbacks. But the guy who is playing against Cates tonight, who didn't last week, is Juwan Armour. Wes Cates isn't done yet, because he is very important in the passing game as well for Saskatchewan. They may try to do that in the second half.
Weston Dressler starts from his 2. Across the 25-yard line. 18 seconds remaining. as Juwan Armour checks back in.
728 yards on the
A difference maker.
We've got a little scuffle on the field and penalty markers on the play well after that kick return.
Mike Labinjo looks like he's trying to just get his teammates and get away from that pile.
I think Yannick Carter was involved there as the second-year special teams demon for Saskatchewan.
What a change from a week ago. Last week, going in at halftime, a 21-7 lead by the Riders. Almost the exact opposite in favor of the Calgary Stampeders here tonight.
But that game did come down to a final minute field goal, final play field goal attempt to win the game. Will Saskatchewan be able to rally as Calgary did a week ago?
Boy, there sure is a lot of people wondering how the Saskatchewan Roughriders have continued to play so well despite their injuries. There's the fight that started after the play, and an official went down. Now, the Calgary Stampeders saw that, I think, and decided to get as far away from that pile as they could. Labinjo tries to hold off the Calgary Stampeders because they don't want happening again what happened last week to Juwan Armour.
Yeah, that was Labinjo trying to fend off Dwight Anderson from getting further into the discussion.
By the way, with respect to that ejection by Juwan Armour and the officials, I think a pat on the back has to go to the Canadian Football League for responding quickly, realizing the mistake, sending out the release. And I know Tom Higgins, the head of officiating, called Juwan Armour personally, and John Huffnagel. And it happens. Officiating has improved tremendously over last year.
We have 2 major fouls on the play. Unnecessary roughness, Calgary number 9, and Saskatchewan number 47. Offsetting fouls, first down.
All right, so John Cornish was the culprit on the Calgary side. We believe it was Yannick Carter, 49.
And I love the common sense there from Kim Murphy, the head referee. You know, when you see things like that, and pushing matches and stuff going on, offsetting penalties, tell the guys to cool down. If it gets out of hand any further, they will start throwing flags and penalizing teams, but make it offsetting and let's play football.
18 seconds left in a tough first half for Saskatchewan. Do you have to take a shot here, or do you play close to the vest? Let's see what Marcus Crandall does. Draw, Cates, Armour.
Wow. There you go. There's some evidence of what we've just been talking about is Juwan Armour right in the middle linebacker spot, the run stopper, versus Wes Cates. And watch the flow and the scrape to the football for number 2 as he slides over there, and hello, Wes Cates.
And Wes Cates, 5 carries, first half, 5 yards. Final play, opening half, Marcus Crandall takes a knee, and they'll go talk about it in the Saskatchewan Roughrider dressing room. A team that is 6-0, dominating. But so far tonight, all Calgary at the half.
Chuck and Chris, it was 4-0 Saskatchewan at one point, but the 23 unanswered points by the Calgary Stampeders, and that late touchdown really seemed to separate them. Calgary was not really pulling away until Joffrey Reynolds got his 6th touchdown of the year to make it 23-4. Schultze, they've talked about the injuries. They're now without both tackles, both corners, all kinds of receivers. I mean, you can't over-exaggerate the injury bug that's been biting hard. They say that maybe they started running out of gas like in the second quarter. You say it started way earlier than that.
The last offensive series of the third quarter of the previous game, that's when the Calgary Stampeders took over. They took the ball all the way down and scored. They dominated the fourth quarter of that last game, and they're doing the same in this game, mainly for the fact that they're running the ball well with Joffrey Reynolds, where with Wes Cates, they are not running the ball as well. Now, why Reynolds is gaining so much success to the left-hand side is a curious situation here, where Cates in the interior is getting no success. Remember the last game? He had all his success in the interior. I think they're taking advantage of the deep-baked young guy who's the defensive end that doesn't necessarily know the flow within the game. Here goes Wes Cates again, interior, nothing. If one running back outdoes the other running back, then you're going to have a big problem. Time of possession, 17 minutes plus for Calgary, and also a lot less for Saskatchewan. West Kate.
While we were
I saw
off
you
camera,
guys. No,
we were
I
discussing
saw
how
you.
we were going to get you on this.
With Kate. I saw you guys going like this. You know, I was right in the middle of it.
Hey, you suffered an injury on that one.
Yes, I did.
A lot of talk, brother.
That's hard to
talk
say.
about Juwan Arbor
Yes.
last week being out of that ball game.
Easy to say.
That was a big reason why Saskatchewan was able to win. But last week, in the last half, Saskatchewan only scored 1 point. In this game, with Juwan Arbor in the game, they've scored 4 points. That's 5 points in the last 4 quarters for Saskatchewan. I think Calgary's defense is really stepping it up. But I like Calgary's offense as well. You know, Kenyon Rambo, he's been non-existent in the last couple of ball games, but Nick Lewis certainly hasn't. He's got 4 catches on the night, and this kid to me is like a Terry Vaughn. If you can remember Terry Vaughn, he was spectacular underneath the coverage, and he's so strong with his base. It's very seldom you see a one tackle take him down. But Nick Lewis is just dynamic receiver. He's making things happen. He right now is Burris's go-to man, and it's fun to watch these guys connect because they are incredible.
I was just saying that Rambo was his go-to guy last week.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I think.
Was it 2 weeks?
2 weeks ago.
And he was
changed
back then.
already, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in a game like this, when you're trying to work the underneath stuff, I suppose Lewis is your ideal guy for that. And that's what's been happening in this football game. In fact, there isn't a single play yet by either offense that's over 20 yards, which normally is good for Saskatchewan. I think Saskatchewan, with all the injuries they have, they want to just be hanging around, just throwing jabs, staying in the football game. But you can't turn the ball over. And I don't think you want to play that style against Calgary's defense because usually they're vulnerable to the big play. You need to get the big plays against Calgary if you're going to beat them.
But you just get the feeling their defense is on the field too much right now. They can't maintain any momentum offensively. They're down 23-4. Highlights, by the way, coming up of Hamilton's big win over Toronto. You're watching the CFL on TSN.
And he will score. Touchdown, Henry Burris.
This defense just flies around. Anton McKenzie, his second interception of the year.
Really concerning Saskatchewan's fans right now. 5 yards rushing on 4 carries by Cates. Last week, he had 18 carries for 139 yards. That's got to improve in the second half.
Yeah, no kidding. Cates has not been able to get off here. John Huffnagel spoke with our Ray Morrison.
A strong first half for your football team here on the road. What do you attribute that to? Lots of field goals and a trip or two to the end zone.
Well, it's been a good team effort in that first half. Defense has been getting our offense on the field. Our offense has been controlling the ball somewhat. Need to put a few more in the end zone, but we're getting points.
Yeah, Joffrey Reynolds has been awesome, and I guess that's not only a tribute to him, but maybe that young offensive line.
Well, the offensive line's playing very well, both the protection area and running the football. The fact that we can stay on the field allows us to run the ball a little bit more.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
23-4 is the score. Jennifer Hedger is here with a Sports Center update. We had a moment here, Jen. The big man got off the rails a little bit, but he's
Provided Ken Miller with his largest deficit as a head coach. And Miller standing by with our Ray Morrison.
Coach, they had over 250 yards on offense on the road. You were shy of 100. Your assessment of the first half?
Well, you know, on offense, we really didn't sustain one drive, you know, and so we have to do something offensively to be able to move the ball methodically, be able to make some big plays, get one scored, and then try and get to another one, and then break their rhythm a little bit when they're on offense. We just have to play better in every area, really.
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
They'll have to do that without starting left tackle Belton Johnson. But they do have Wes Cates, and the one way they can use him, they've had trouble running him. But the other way that they use Wes Cates, and one of the reasons he's among the leaders in yards from scrimmage, is because he can catch the football. That's an interesting matchup. Armor in pass coverage against Cates.
Don't sense a lot of panic in the stands here that it's 23-4 Calgary as Jamie Borum kicks it off. And Demetrius Summers on the return. And he works his way across the 30. Henry Burris razor sharp after an early miscue in that opening half.
It seemed like he had a lot more yards than 132, but there was a lot of Joffrey Reynolds, as the panel mentioned at halftime. His percentage right back up there where it's been all season but last week. And he had that one interception in the very first series of the game, but certainly the Calgary Stampeders have bounced back, and you can see Crandall's numbers That's what Coach Ken Miller was talking about.
Felt like most of Crandall's numbers came in the opening 2 possessions for Saskatchewan. And they went stone cold. Calgary right back to work. The hitch to McLewis. And he is swarmed at the 38-yard line as 6.
Well, the one thing I think the offensive coordinator, George Cortez, for Calgary did coming into this game was he established Joffrey Reynolds early. He added a couple of plays that they haven't run for a couple of weeks, and that was one was the quarterback draw from Henry Burris. Play action has worked. John Huffnagel talked about turning some of those field goals into touchdowns, but nevertheless, one of the best starts of the year for Calgary's offense.
Second and 4. 5 receivers out. Here's Reynolds trying the left side, and he runs over Tad Cornegay for the first down.
And it has to be concerning for the Saskatchewan Roughriders when your defensive backs are making a lot of tackles on running backs. If defensive backs are making tackles on their own receiver, that's the passing game. But you see again, Tad Cornegay, the corner, having to make the tackle and pull down Joffrey Reynolds, and he took the worst of that.
So the matchup that was dominated by Keeks last week is a landslide so far. The toss right side, and Reynolds stacked up at the 52-yard line. Sean Lucas, the Sam linebacker, brought him down. And 4 more for Joffrey Reynolds. And Maurice Lloyd slow to get up.
They have to, you have to start to think that the Saskatchewan Roughriders are out of bad luck when it comes to injuries. They've had their share.
They're exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's talked about how lucky they've been. Some of the breaks they've got in the first 6 games. Boy, does that rankle the folks in Saskatchewan. Second down, and they're unable to convert, but a flag on the play, and Eddie Davis is going to get a pass interference call.
Eddie Davis was fighting with the intended target. I think it was Copeland. And they were standing there for quite some time, and it looked like he may have grabbed Copeland's arm as he reached for the football. There's Jermaine Copeland right there, number 80, and he's just going to sit down in a little curl. And they stand there for a while because Burris has some time. See how they're fighting.
Pass interference, number 29, Saskatchewan, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Eddie Davis just didn't allow Copeland to bring up his right arm. That's where the flag came out.
14-year veteran Eddie Davis, 74 games as a member of the Calgary Stampeders, including a Grey Cup ring. Now the ringleader in that Saskatchewan secondary. But it's a first down. Stamps driving again. 5 straight scoring drives. Reynolds left side. And surging ahead to the 40. And close to 8 more as he continues to chew it up.
Well, you can see some of the secondary players for the Saskatchewan Roughriders are now jumping in to try and help with the run, even though Reynolds picks up good yards on first down again. This time I thought I saw Lance Frazier, number 15. As you guys go ahead and run this play, watch how he comes flying up from the right of your screen, number 15 in green. There he is up high on the right. If your secondary is coming up to help on the run, boy, they could get in trouble in that passing game.
Reynolds had 81 yards total in the last 2 games. He's got 91 so far tonight, and another first down run off the right side.
Number 21, Joffrey Reynolds.
Sean Lucas, Eddie Davis that time, as Reynolds closes in on his second 100-yard game of the season.
And I know that was a running down for Saskatchewan, but look at this. Eddie Davis here, and look at Scott Gordon here, how quickly they're moving forward. You see they're sliding. I know this is a running down, and basically they're keying on the run, but that's what these defensive backs have been having to do of late to try and help on Reynolds. You're moving forward as the DB on the snap. You can get in trouble in a hurry.
Well, they've been productive on first down, and here we go again. A little play action, looked one way to another read, and now downfield, Brett Ralph. is the second or third option on the play, and he has another Calgary first down.
Up to the Riders' 25-yard line.
Wasn't that much time last week for Henry Burris.
No, not with those 24 hurries, which was as good as it gets for Saskatchewan on defense. But look, he looks right. You want to go to Nick Lewis, who was open temporarily. Then he went back, had time to roll all the way to the left and find Ralph on the sideline.
12 more for Brett Ralph, who came into this game 10th, one of 3 Calgary receivers in the top 10 in receiving on the season. First down at the 25. And there's Summers again with a good catch. And Anton McKenzie collars him.
You know, Matt Dunnigan, I believe, talked about it at halftime and said that as they get Joffrey Reynolds, continue to get him going, and Henry Burris works in that controlled passing game, and the time of possession continues to add up for Calgary, and that Saskatchewan defense has to stay on the field longer and longer. 4 receivers to the right side. There comes Summers to make it 5 out of the right side, and that's kind of a John Huffnagel idea. That could have been a horse collar right there.
I was looking for the flag. There was a lot of talk about one by Brandon Browner off Carl Berman last week that injured Berman. And Joffrey Reynolds again, this time over Lance Frazier, as another defensive back has to come up and make the stop.
There you go again. There's Frazier right there. He's way up. And you could see on the line of scrimmage, that's a defensive halfback. That word play action comes to mind. Is that 2 words?
First and depends on whether you got spell check. Cross the middle, it's picked off. Sean Lucas. The tip through the hands of Jermaine Copeland. Oh, did Saskatchewan need that? Fans have something to cheer about. Second interception, tossed by Burris.
Sharp at Saskatchewan got lucky again. There was nothing lucky about that interception. It was Sean Lucas in great position.
Well, the lights were almost turned out by Calgary. Saskatchewan gets a much-needed turnover, and let's see what they do with it. Darius Bowman with a catch in front of Shannon James.
Now, I shouldn't say nothing lucky. A little bit lucky that Copeland didn't come down with it. Jermaine Copeland not having a good season this year. But he comes on this crossing route in his hands. But look at the hustle from Lucas to break up and come up on Copeland like he was going to make the tackle and try and cut him off from any further gain, and the ball arrives. That's the same type of play that Wes Cates made last week. Matt Dominguez fumbled because he was hustling. He was in the right place.
Second and 1. There's a first down run, and as productive as we've seen from Wes Cates. And Jerron Armour there to send a message even late in that play. Eddie Freeman at the bottom of the pile, who said he was embarrassed by the fact Cates ran over that Calgary defense last week.
Yeah, I think the quote from Armour was, that running stuff Cates did last week is over. And you can print that.
He's backed it up so far, although Cates does get a first down run at the 29. Fakes to Cates. And now it's Michael Palmer. Shannon James trying to strip the ball again from Palmer, but he hangs on. And up close to a first down at the 39.
No, but this Saskatchewan Roughrider defense, a lot of people, and on offense, a lot of people saying that they're lucky, and they've been lucky to be 6-0. The reason they're 6-0, turnovers, giveaway, takeaway, +7, that's number 1 in the league. Their penalties per game, that's number 2, second best. And 16-25 defensive catch. That's why they're 6-0. They're 6-0 because they rally to the football. They're a blue-collar team. There's no real stars on this team. They do it with a lot of different people. But I know a lot of people will say that because they'll say that Lucas interception was lucky
Major
again.
foul, unnecessary roughness after the play. Saskatchewan, number 52. 15-yard penalty, second down.
That's not going to help on Wayne Smith.
No, but you were right. This is a rare bad penalty by Saskatchewan in the opening 7 games this year. Second fewest yards penalized on the season averaging 67 a game, only 30 on 6 penalties on Saturday.
Yeah, and this whole thing about Saskatchewan being lucky, this is pro football. You earn what you achieve.
The guy who says they're lucky should check that injury list.
Yeah.
Randall throws, and the ball is dropped by Bowman.
Now, having said that, there were plays like that from people like Darius Bowman who made this catch in key situations in their first 6. He just took a peek and saw Wes Lysak before the ball arrived. Ken Miller, not a problem. Back in there, and we'll see you on the next series.
So Marcus Howell awaits. Borum to kick into a breeze that was about 20 k an hour at the start of the night. This one hangs up and will skip into the hands of Howell at his own 50, and he'll be snowed under there. Quick downfield cover. No scoring in the second half so far. Well, we can't come to this stadium without thinking about the little general, and even more so today with the news that Ron Lancaster is battling cancer again. We do understand, though, that the prognosis is good. He has started radiation treatment. Ron, from all of us, the CFL at TSN, and from fans across the country, we are all pulling for you. Boy, it's been a tough year, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has. And that's a tough guy. Ron Lancaster.
He's already won one of those battles.
And he's going to win another too.
Yes. Stampeders take over. First down and a play action fake. And Burris hurried there, and the ball falls incomplete, intended for Ralph in the flat. You mentioned the drops last week. Henry Burris last week, for the first time, his pass efficiency rating was less than 100. Last week it was 77.5. If you wonder what it would have been with 6 or 7 balls caught that should have been.
Well, week 4 he completed 78%. Week 5, 70%. And last week was at 55. But with the 7 drops that were easy catches, he would have been at 72 last week.
Thrown a touchdown pass in the first 6 games. At least one in each game, but none so far tonight. 2nd and 10, and they screen it, and what a hit. Oh! Anton McKenzie exploded through that tackle.
You know, and I mentioned that the Saskatchewan Roughriders don't have a lot of stars in their defense, but they have an emerging star, and it's number 42. Anton McKenzie, who has been all over the football field, leads the team in tackles, had an interception already at the very first series of this game, had one coming in. That is just great instincts and arriving at the target with a bad attitude. It was perfect.
Riders have not had a player of the week in any of the 6 weeks. McKenzie's had many strong nights. Dressler. And he's taken down at the 20-yard line. Back to work goes Marcus Crandall. For every sack in tonight's game, Purolator donates the quarterback's weight and food to a local food bank. Purolator, where business is going. We haven't added any to the totals tonight.
No sacks. No sacks for Stampeders or Saskatchewan in tonight's game. It's interesting, though, Calgary has been criticized all year for not getting enough pressure on the quarterback, and yet they have 2 more sacks than the 6-0 Saskatchewan Roughriders on the season.
Snaps go to work. Wes Cates. And Cates spun off first contact that time and has close to 8. That's his best gain of the night.
Mentioned 6-0 in Saskatchewan. Last time they did that was 1934. Never been 7-0. And you think about, well, what about that Grey Cup hangover everyone hears about? When you win the Grey Cup the next year, you're not supposed to have a good season. In fact, in 48 years, only Calgary, 92 championship team, and Saskatchewan started 6-0. And you have to go back into the 50s and that undefeated team in Calgary in 48 to go further. That Calgary team, by the way, ended up going 10-0 in 92, but lost in the Western Final. Saskatchewan 6-0 and in a little bit of trouble here, and the worst trouble they've been in all season long.
This is not a recording. Another Saskatchewan injury, and Wayne Smith getting attention as we step out with less than 5 to go in the third quarter. Thin, well, on the roster, and right now in particular on that offensive line, Wayne Smith, the latest casualty.
We're looking at his ribs. He's having some problems getting over there to the bench.
He joined us late. Belton Johnson very early in this one. A broken fibula as well. Jocelyn Fournette has to come in on that offensive line, and that pass broken up by Dwayne Carpenter.
Let's go back to that injury. Wayne Smith was trying to cut block, I believe, on Michael Binjo, and when he did, he exposed his ribs. Go ahead and run it, guys. He see him to the right of your screen, number 52, and it right there. He tries to come back right there on Labinjo, and as he does and cuts down low, it looked like Labinjo's knee went right into the ribs of Wayne Smith.
So Borum has to kick away again. Marcus Howell awaits. And again, not a deep punt. Flag down. And Marcus Howell, with a nifty return, kicks it outside. And we'll have to check the flag as he steps out at the 33. No yards or an illegal block. Will the Howell return stand?
Some moves in traffic there from Marcus Howell. Nice 8.1 punt return average coming in. Again, you want to get as close to a first down as you can, which would be a 10-yard punt return average. Returners, that's the goal.
No yards. Saskatchewan, number 46. That penalty is declined. First down.
So it was no yards against Kitwana Jones. And
boy, sorry, Chris. You just start to get more confidence as your team, offensively is dominating, playing well defensively. It trickles into the special teams, and Marcus Howell, you see the confidence he has. A lot of traffic in there in the middle, and he's just bouncing around, making moves till he finds a little space.
Well, the average start for the Calgary tonight, 46-yard line. Here they begin at the Saskatchewan 33. Short gain by Joffrey, closing in on 100.
Well, Joffrey Reynolds started this game, and you could just get that sense that he was in the groove, the way he was making cuts and not losing momentum, not chopping his feet, but keeping his forward progress. A nice spin move right there in the open field. But Joffrey Reynolds has been like butter tonight.
I'd say more like the knife.
Going right through it.
98 yards in the game, and that pass is caught by Nick Lewis. And it's another Calgary first down.
And, for the first time all season, you just haven't seen the energy from the Saskatchewan defense. Henry Burris has been able to take his time in the pocket. Nick Lewis is the third receiver, number 82, to that right side of the formation. Just a little outcut from him. Burris has had all kinds of time, and Joffrey Reynolds is getting that bubble that he needs to run in, and just the energy in this Saskatchewan defense just doesn't seem to be there tonight.
An improved performance by Calgary, and the injury list taking its toll. For the pump, and Henry pulls it down, and he's inside the 10. And he's been effective on the ground tonight and has an 11-yard touchdown as well.
And no hook slide here from Henry Burris, who basically is just going to take off, and again, like everyone has for Calgary, run with confidence. In the first 6 weeks of the season, you would see 6 or 7 tacklers go and hit that and punish that ball carrier, especially if it was a quarterback. And you could see that tonight Burris and the Calgary Stampeders, doesn't matter who it is, it's running with confidence because it's one guy making the tackle.
At 43 yards last week, his best this year was a 93-yard performance against Montreal. Burris looking for pay dirt. Touchdown! His first touchdown throw of the game is to Kenyon Rambo.
Touchdown Stamps.
Feel like he got a little bit of a late hit afterwards. Starts out with time, and the time that Burris has to set up, roll out, get his shoulders and hips around. Look at the nice throwing lane he has and the cushion that's been developed between Kenyon Rambo and Eddie Davis.
So Rambo has a touchdown catch in each of his last 5 meetings against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. His 15th touchdown in 18 games overall. And the road is on here at Mosaic as Calgary's opened up a 30-4 lead with their first points of the second half.
Yeah, and that's the sound of that bubble bursting for Saskatchewan a little bit.
Well, this has been the most thorough, most complete effort we've seen from the Stamps so far this season.
See how Kenyon Rambo there used his waggle. That means the motion that he uses before the snap of the ball. He comes towards the middle of the field and then straightens up or stems Eddie Davis and then breaks out. Good time from the offensive line. I mentioned the throwing lane from Burris, but look how relaxed he is. No one in his face. Lots of time to watch Kenyon Rambo make his break and throw it on time. It's been like that all night for Henry Burris.
Yeah, no hurries tonight.
Now that's Stampeder football. Hey, 30-4, Judge. Hey, Matt, Vanessa, congratulations. We don't play no games.
It is a pretty good advertisement for Stampeder football tonight.
Well, a lot of people were wondering, are the Stampeders for real? How different was this team from 2007? And I would think that it's a very different team. I mentioned off the top, in their 3 losses, it's been a combined total 8 points that they've lost by, all in the final minute. They have been close.
Weston Dressler from his 3. And dropped up at the 30. Ball came loose. Justin Phillips trying to sell a recovery.
So are the Calgary Stampeders for real? I would say yes, they are.
This is one of these tough games where you don't want to underestimate what Calgary's doing, and yet you have to be realistic about the toll of Saskatchewan injuries.
Yeah, but
you don't want to lean on those too much either.
You don't, and they haven't used those as an excuse for the last 6 weeks, Saskatchewan. I know they continue to mount, but
Stampeders didn't want to hit into the break on a 3-game losing streak. Doesn't look like they will. That was a 15-yarder. And that should be the longest play up at the 48, an 18-yard pickup.
Well, they continue to suck it up a little bit. First of all, to the right of your screen, 52, Wayne Smith back in offensively. And that pumps him up a little bit. And Darius Bowman here out in the open field works his way down that sideline after breaking a couple of tackles.
And he's in some difficulty. Arguably the best player on the field tonight, certainly on defense.
He was the guy who got there to Darius Bowman initially and looked like he may have fell on his own player. They're looking at his hip, which would indicate a hip pointer.
So we'll step out while Armour continues to get attention.
There's a customer here that wants to know if they could take their car to Mr. Lube for oil changes.
Tell them no.
But they're warranty approved, so they won't.
Ricky, do you remember our talk? What does the poster say?
Mercy is for the weak.
Go get him, Tiger.
Armour to the sidelines, and a pass to the sidelines for Corey Grant is incomplete. Matt Grotegood has come in to replace the injured Juwan Armour. And Corey Grant thought he did catch that.
And a little discussion going on down on the sideline right now, right in front of the Saskatchewan bench as to whether or not he did. They're calling it a completed pass.
So a good catch by Grant.
Looked like he got both hands underneath the football. But you mentioned Matt Grotegood, who goes in for Juwan Armour on the injury. Last week, when Armour was taken out, they had to make the move for Michael Binjo to go back. They got Grotegood back, who is a linebacker. That's an easier transition for the Stampeders and can leave Labinjo up on the line.
8-3 for Grant, 2nd and 7. Time for Crandall to go to his second read. And there's Cates in the backfield. And Brandon Browner steps up and denies the first down. Forward progress looked like it was within a yard of the chain.
They'll get
we'll see where they do spot it.
Get a real good spot here, Chris. I think the Saskatchewan Roughriders, are going to get a good spot. And then they're going to take the forward progress of Wes Cates. Form tackle by Brandon Browner. Well, now they've adjusted that spot just a little bit. The initial spot was about a half a yard ahead of where the ball is now. Ken Miller watched them make a little adjustment.
By the chains on. Okay, there's a look at it, and it will be a first down. So a good enough spot to move the chains. Mike Labinjo over to have some words about where that ball was placed.
Move the chains, first down Riders.
And in many years and many games, I've never seen that.
Shots here against a team that has been vulnerable to them this year. Fake to Cates. Crandall just throws that to the sidelines, incomplete. And Nick Lewis has got another catch. And that is the final play of the third quarter.
30-4. All right, Riders. Quarter stretch brought to you by WorkSafe.
When you're in the zone, you feel like you can do anything. And your game goes to a level that turns opponents into witnesses.
Third quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Dominance from the Calgary Stampeders in this game tonight. More injuries mounting for Saskatchewan, although they haven't used that as an excuse and won't tonight, no matter what the outcome. But maybe the most telling stat there is time of possession. 11 minutes more for Calgary. They've just controlled that ground game.
You could say all those stats tell a story tonight. It has been a lopsided game. 23 unanswered points in the first half and 7 more here in the third quarter. And Saskatchewan's got to take some shots, don't they?
Well, they have to try and create some excitement here in this fourth quarter and see if they can scratch their way back in, maybe get a little momentum to take them into their next game next week. But there is lots of time. And this team has been ruled out many times this year. And there was many people that didn't think there was any way they could get to 6-0. They did all that.
2nd and 10 at the Calgary 52-yard line for the Roughriders. And Crandall is going to take a shot. Looking for Darius Bowman. Touchdown!
It starts with one. You called it, partner. When are they going to take a shot?
52 yards to Bowman, who seems to have a little chemistry with Marcus Crandall, even with a little fortuitous bounce.
Yeah, maybe they did get a little lucky here. This is a chance for the Calgary Stampeders to, at the very least, knock this down, but they knock each other out. And Darius Bowman says thank you very much on the bounce. And it starts with one when you're trying to get back from a big deficit.
Third touchdown on the season for the rookie, who has all the tools to be the star of the league. Well, that ends a string of 30 consecutive Calgary points, and it also provides us with the biggest play of the game so far, the 52-yard touchdown pass to Darius Bowman. Wind at the back of the Roughriders in this fourth quarter as Demetrius Summers brings it out, and he'll get nailed.
Darius Bowman in a situation where he's not going to try and route run too much. He's not going to do anything fancy. He just has to get up on top of the Calgary defense as quickly as he can. So he just takes off straight down the field, and you're going to see Bannister and Milton Collins collide. It looked like Bannister had perfect position for, at the very least, the knockdown. and Collins comes from the middle to try and help him, loses his balance and takes out his teammate. The ball bounces right to Bowman, and touchdown Saskatchewan. Got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good.
Summers still down after
Let's go, D!
Big hit on teams by Sebastian Clovis, which might stoke a little bit more momentum with the Roughriders after the touchdown. And so Summers gets attention. And once again, we'll take a timeout at Mosaic Stadium. Play action fake and pass to the flat. And a debate as Kenyon Rambo comes up with it. And it is a catch.
He's trying to sell it.
Or is it?
He's trying to sell it. They're still talking about it. Full rollout for Henry Burris. The ball low and away. I don't know because he's got possession of the ball, but the football can't touch the turf as he goes down. He's got to get it up to his body. But did he get the right hand under the tip of the football?
Challenge flag just came out, and you hear the fans erupt. This is the Stamps' deepest start of the game, their own 22-yard line.
Well, that was interesting. Kenyon Rambo had his hands around the sides of the football. It looked like as it was coming down that the tip of the football might touch the turf. They've ruled that incomplete in the past. But did he slide the right hand underneath the tip of the football?
Good challenge, because you know Saskatchewan went out there thinking 2 and out.
Challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass.
Well, that's what they wanted to do, Chris, is they get that 2 and out after the Adarius Bowman. After the Bowman touchdown, a 2 and out just builds on the momentum. Let's take one more look. This is the angle the officials will take a look at. Now, it looked like it touched the ground there, but does Rambo at the end of the play roll his right hand underneath? He tried to sell it by showing that black glove underneath the football. I'm not sure he got it there in time, though.
It would be a first down if the catch is allowed to stand. Ken Miller with an unsuccessful challenge on the Michael Palmer fumble in the first half.
Ruled a catch on the sideline. So they have to see evidence to say that football touched the turf.
Tom Higgins is here, the head of officiating.
The precedent that's been set on a play like that throughout the season has been that if the receiver is going down to the ground and the ball's between his hands and it touches the turf, it's incomplete. It's been ruled incomplete. Basically saying he didn't survive that impact with the ground because the ball touched the ground. This one's very close, and this is the angle the refs will have to work with. He doesn't ever get it to his body. Because the point being that if the ball hits the ground like that, it's ruled incomplete, because you could then, if you're a receiver and it wasn't ruled incomplete, you could use the ground to help you gain possession and have the ground push the ball in your stomach.
Pretty subtle with that right hand coming underneath to sell that it was there all along.
Yeah. If they ruled this, Chris, the way they've ruled it this year, they'll overturn this. But it'll be interesting because that was, I believe, the only look they had.
After review, we have an incomplete pass on the play. It will be second down.
Oh, good challenge. And that gets the fans back in it.
Well, it takes a little wind out of the sails of that momentum from Adarius Bowman because you had to wait around for the challenge. But it does create, and they'll have to mark the ball again. a 2nd and 10 for the Calgary Stampeders and a chance for Saskatchewan to grab that momentum back if they can get a stop on this play.
And the field position game, you get the stop, you should get the ball in good field position.
The rule is correct, though. It was just a matter of could they tell from the look. John Hufnagel doesn't like it, but that's how they've called it all year.
Well, they just turned up the volume. Second and 10 from the 22. They get back onside. Quarterback draw. Late flag. And Burris hauled down. Luke Mullender in on the stop. Along with Ronald Williams, it was a holding call against the Stamps that will be declined.
Holding. Calgary, number 67. A penalty is declined.
Demetrius Sumpas, the guilty party.
Demetrius Sumpas. I'm sorry, he's number 67. I'll give you both guards.
They're both rookie guards.
Yeah, and the one on the right is the guy we're talking about, number 67. And it's a tackle in the open field.
Deke Big.
Yeah. But the Saskatchewan Roughriders get there 2 and out.
Took a video challenge, but they do. And now they have Ari Childs and Wes Dressler back. Burkdale's punting. This is his first punt of the game.
Oh, boy.
Into the end zone. Chris Zarka, who's got it? Zarka, touchdown, Roughriders.
Starts with 1.
And now there's 2. And Bedlam again at Mosaic. Ronald Williams with the punt block. Chris Zarka with the recovery.
Little simple move by Zarka up front, and all he's going to do is come through the gap as he takes a little twist around the nose guard. Little twist here, he comes around, and there he is. Fights past the personal protector. He comes through, and he's the guy who's going to recover this after the block.
Well now, 12-point game. And 13 minutes to go. Well, all of a sudden, it gets interesting here in Regina, doesn't it?
Just like that, that's how quick it can happen. Chris Zarka coming right down the middle, recovers the football for a touchdown. Yannick Carter is unblocked. A mistake made by the Calgary Stampeders up front.
Big kickoff. Bouncing through the end zone, no single point. So everybody amped up right now after the Zarka touchdown on the Ronald Williams block.
Yeah, here comes the block. That's what I'm talking about, Williams. There's a man in the gap that is going to take number 48 for Calgary Stampeders. That is Jawan Simpson, and he slides down to Carter, and there is Williams off the edge to block it, and Chris Zarka picking it up.
Decibel level will be even higher now. First bit of adversity since early in the first quarter for Calgary. Burris will swing it out. Joffrey Reynolds to quiet the crowd. Hauled down from behind across the 30-yard line.
Calgary Stampeders just wanting to get back clearly to their controlled ball control type of offense that they've run for 3 straight quarters and where they were dominating, and that ball control offense means 21 gets it.
And gets 6. Kitwana Jones the tackle. Another huge second down play. Reynolds first down and a big one. Kitwana Jones hanging on again, but a big Calgary first down.
A call that puts the option on the play to Henry Burris. As Henry Burris takes a look at the end, a little peek. If the end is high, and this time it's Kitwana Jones, Then he gives the ball to Reynolds, knowing Kiwanis Jones is going to have to dive for him and doesn't get him in time.
Second 100-yard game of the year for Joffrey Reynolds. 16th in his career. Reynolds again. And this time, Sean Lucas steps up. Eddie Davis in on the tackle at the 44.
Coming into this game at 6-0, the Saskatchewan defense, #1 against the run, giving up just shy of 80 yards per game with 6 wins. And tonight, the Calgary Stampeders are attacking that strength and having success.
Matches a league high. Hamilton had 193 on the strength of Jesse Lumsden. 2nd and 4 again. This time they fake to Reynolds. The pass is caught. No, dropped. Jermaine Copeland couldn't hang on.
Well, this season has been a rough one for Jermaine Copeland. He was around 3 catches a game coming in. Not enough for a receiver at his talent level. This would have been a tough catch. It looked like Lance Fraser was in good position, but he had both hands on it, and he's come up with that catch in the past. Sorry, it was Eddie Davis, the defensive back in coverage.
So Dale's second punt, first that he gets away. And it's brought down by Henry Childs. And once again, Roughriders get the football with 10:34 remaining. With more, let's go back to the sidelines. Ray Morrison.
You know, Chris, a lot of people have asked what's up with the Calgary Stampeders at 3-3, and stars like Burris and stars like Reynolds, they should be a lot better in people's minds. But John Hopnigle is quick to point out the youth on this team coming into tonight's game. They had 3 first-year starting offensive linemen, and on defense, just 4 players with 3 or more years of experience. So they're trying to come of age. Maybe tonight's the night they do.
But that inexperience getting tested here. Marcus Crandall and Darius Bowman drops the ball. A couple of drops for Bowman and a 52-yard touchdown that started this surge.
Well, it was receiving 101 for Darius Bowman here. A little peek to see where he's going to see how he turns his head. Turns his head, takes his eyes off the football. You know, it is a work in progress for the Calgary Stampeders, and this is a good time to find out what kind of team you have. Saskatchewan has scored a couple of quick touchdowns.
2nd and 10. One piece of good news, Wayne Smith back in. A tackle, and that screen pass drops in front of Chris Zarka as they tried to work behind the right tackle, Wayne Smith. A 2-and-out that stalls the momentum of this 4th quarter for Saskatchewan.
It's an interesting point that Ray makes about this Calgary Stampeder team, and I know a lot of people in Calgary are wondering, is this team for real? They've had changes that they've had to adapt to. Chris Jones, the new defensive coordinator, John Hopnigle, the new coach, some young players on defense. I mean, since July, this team has released 9 players. It's a work in progress, but they are better. They are well coached, and they're getting closer and closer. Can they finish tonight is the question.
Morum with the wind at his back, booms one. Al backpedals to his 16. And then gets nailed at the 20. Penalty marker on the play, back at the line of scrimmage. 62-yard punt. And did Calgary have too many men on the field? This could
illegal substitution. Calgary, number 31, a 10-yard penalty, first down.
Wow, that gives Saskatchewan the football back.
A 2-and-out that was costly is no longer a 2-and-out. And the Stampeders don't like the call. Wes Lysak, did he come on too late?
Craig Dickinson is the special teams coach for the Calgary Stampeders. He's trying to explain his side of the story. John Hopnigle immediately turned to him for an explanation. And then they both went to the officials to figure out how that could happen. But once that sideline official puts his hands up, you can't substitute anybody. You can't go past the white stripe.
What an enormous penalty. Fresh set of downs just beyond the 40-yard line. Cascades straight ahead. Matt Gruttigood, the tackle, in place of the injured Juwan Armour, as the run defense remains stout.
Boy, Saskatchewan really take advantage of this Calgary mistake if they can get a drive together here. They were close on the last drive, a drop by Darius Bowman, and then just an underthrown screen pass from Marcus Crandall. Little execution problems.
Roughriders Saturday night, 42% deficient in second down conversions. A big one coming up here, 2nd and 8. 6 receivers out, time, crosser, Palmer, first down. Dropped at the 52, but he gives them another fresh set of downs.
Juwan Armour's out of the game. Matt Gruttigood is the middle linebacker, and he is right here, but what he's going to do is he's going to drop. As he drops to his place, you're going to see right in front of him from right to left, his number 77 screams right across the middle of that field. He picks up that little dump pass and gets first down territory.
Best game of the season for Palmer's 5th catch, 53 yards. 8 minutes left, 4th quarter. The perfect season still in the balance. And outside there, Dressler jumped the gun, and this one is picked off. Brandon Browner with the interception, his 2nd of the year, and it couldn't have come at a better time for the Stamps.
And Brandon Browner was an absolute perfect position down that sideline, and I'm surprised that Marcus Crandall even tried to get it in there.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 7. That penalty is declined. First down.
Yeah, Dressler was offside. Saskatchewan wasn't going to get anything out of that anyway.
Well, maybe Marcus Crandall thought that when he saw the flag that he had a free play here, because Brandon Browner had perfect position on the sideline, inside shoulder, and Browner, watch him up and bump right at the top of your screen. Perfect on Corey Grant, little jam, turns around, inside position, and catches the ball at the high point. That's textbook corner play.
3rd interception thrown by Crandall, and here is Joffrey Reynolds cut down. Tad Cornegie.
Big play. Big time.
That's what Brandon Browner is capable of. He's out here on the sideline, and he starts out in that bump. So as Grant gets the outside release, he's going to let him go there. A little push there, gets away with, but look at that inside position. Now he can just turn and play the football cleanly.
Reynolds with 4 yards on that last carry, 2nd and 6. Five receivers out, and the first down toss to Brett Ralph. Right at the first down stick.
Well, Brett Ralph has sorted out his drop issues from a week ago, because he has been solid this game. 3 receivers to the left side of the formation. There's Brett Ralph on the quick out.
Man, the play will require a measurement. Not sure if Ralph was on the list, but John Huffnagel did say it is a first down. He had a number of chats with individuals after the last game regarding both the drops and penalties.
Well, the new list for next week may still include Jermaine Copeland on it. But I think Brett Ralph has found his way off it. There's Copeland.
Joffrey Reynolds, well contained that time. Lance Frazier stepped up, and maybe a couple.
Well, passing down for Henry Burris, who has been pretty much on target again tonight. You certainly can't criticize his play throughout the season. The yard's not real impressive, but what you have to keep in mind is George Cortez brought in a bunch of Joffrey Reynolds tonight.
Yeah, they've been riding that horse tonight. And it doesn't look like Henry Burris will extend his streak to 6 consecutive 300-yard games. And if he can preserve this 12-point lead, he won't care a bit. 2nd and 8. And that falls incomplete at the sidelines. Caught by Scott Gordon at the Rider bench out of bounds. So the Roughriders are going to get it back with just under 6 minutes left.
No open receivers for Henry Burris there. Kenyon Rambo was the guy he threw to because he was on the sideline, and I think he almost just threw that away. He threw it right to the outside shoulder so that it wouldn't be intercepted. Good coverage downfield from the Saskatchewan secondary.
So Burkdales, who did not punt till the 4th quarter, now called upon for the 3rd time in this 4th frame. Got a deep kick, and Dressler at his 35, and then pushed back. John Cornish led the cover team downfield. We'll tune into TSN tomorrow morning for the 2nd round of the 90th PGA Championship from Oakland Hills. The final major live coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. It's available at TSN HD. The leaderboard has 3 at the top at -2. Sergio Garcia -1. Phil Mickelson at even par. And Mike Weir working on a good round.
They should have cheerleaders in golf. You know, you have to be quiet. You have to be quiet when you take your shot, and then there's big cheers.
You're on your own.
Yeah, you don't like that idea? Okay.
Marcus Crandall. Oh, that's a dangerous swing pass. Cates was well covered as Charlton Hughes, the defensive end, tracked Wes Cates out into the flat.
Well, that's a matchup that they'd rather have Cates going down the field if they're going to try, and the Calgary Stampeders is going to try and cover Cates with the defensive lineman at 244. But on that little swing pass, he actually had a better shot at it. And if Crandall doesn't have to throw it high like that, that might have gone the other way.
2nd and 10. Crandall steps up, takes off, lunging. And where will they mark it? He's within a yard of the 1st down, and depending on his forward progress, may have it.
1st down, Riders.
And it is a 1st down.
Marcus Crandall wanted to run that same play to Cates again out of the backfield. He wanted to try to get to Wes Cates, and Charlton Hughes again covers him. He's at the left of your screen right there. He goes out with Cates. That's where Crandall wants to go. He's looking over there. No, he's covered again by a D lineman. Takes off up the middle, gets that little running lane, and gets the 1st down.
We're down to 4 minutes left. 1st down at the Rough Rider 48. Crandall steps up, dumps it off. Cates spins off, 1st contact. His best play of the game. And it's into Calgary territory, the mark of about the 42.
Well, I thought this was going to be a big-time collision in the open field because the ball took a little bit of time to get there. It almost looked like Crandall had to float it over. And as he does to Cates, I didn't see the number, but there was a Stampeder bearing down on him. Somehow he caught it, turned around quickly, and was able to make a move in the open field.
Spun right off Dwayne Carpenter, his biggest play of the game, showing the form that made him the player of the month of July. 20 yards for Cates. Long out, Corey Grant's got a catch. And a penalty marker on the play. Mike Labinjo telling us it's going against Saskatchewan. We'll wait for Kim Murphy to give us the same call.
Holding. Saskatchewan, number 60. A 10-yard penalty. Makes 1st down.
Gene Makowski, the culprit. We join Ray Morrison.
Keep an eye on the Stampeder defense without the 5-year veteran Druan Armour at middle linebacker. They were working on his hip. The Calgary training staff tried to get him back on the field. They worked on his hip for a long time. He got on the bike, but isn't able to go. So we'll see how this Calgary defense gets tested in this key drive here with 3 minutes to go, Chris.
Boy, middle linebacker has been a injury problem spot in Calgary. 1st and 20. Labinjo jumps. Free play. Crandall hit as he delivered. And the catch is made, brought down by Calvin Bannister.
They'll take the penalty here, I believe.
Wes Cates the catch, will sort out the flag. The 3-minute warning given to the benches. Game story brought to you by MGD. Nothing to hide.
Joffrey Reynolds won the running back duel between he and Wes Cates. Fourth quarter, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have continued to battle, and that's one thing that Ken Miller has got to be proud of this football team, because it was all Calgary for 3 quarters.
Michael Binjo was called offside, so it's first down over, 1st and 15 now. Randall. And there's Cates out of the backfield again, a catch at the 42. And they get back close to the original line of scrimmage prior to the holding call, and it's going to set up 2nd and 10.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders may lose their first game tonight, but they continue to battle. They've gone through some more injuries tonight. Ken Miller has created a family atmosphere. Eric Tillman will be working the phones again after this football game. His injury list continues to grow.
Riders present, Jim Hobson actually watches on. Wrestler with a catch in traffic and a big one.
And it's not over yet.
That's one of those guys Eric Tillman has brought in that he thinks can become a mainstay here.
Well, he's got breakaway speed. He can be a returner for you. And he shows right there that he can make a tough catch in traffic. He's not a big guy at 5'7", but he plays big, and he played big on this play.
Oh, that's clutch. 17 yards, a first down. No huddle for Saskatchewan now. Short drop to the end zone for Dressler. Touchdown!
Not over yet.
It might have just started. Weston Dressler has his 2nd touchdown of the year and back-to-back catches to get Saskatchewan within a touchdown of the lead.
The fans never stop believing tonight, that's for sure. And Dressler right down the seam, back-to-back clutch catches.
In a remarkable start to the season, this potentially could be the most remarkable night, but they've still got work to do. Down by 5.
Waggle motion, you're going to see Dressler come right here and then down the hole. From the left of your screen, there's number 7 right there in your picture. He goes right down and gets vertical in a hurry. Marcus Crandall has to kind of buy some time. He's not even looking that direction to begin the play. Flaps his head around, sees Dressler, who takes a hit from Wes Lysek and hangs on to the football. Back-to-back clutch catches. There he is right there, the inside receiver right there, number 7. As he comes down, waggles down towards the middle of the field, and then just shoots the gap. And it looked like it might have even been a bit of a mistake with Palmer and Dressler in the same area. Doesn't matter. They don't ask how, just how many.
And that's the 3rd touchdown of this 4th quarter. Down 30-4. Down and apparently out. But if you wear green and you're at Mosaic Stadium, you don't believe that they were ever out.
There's not spectators in Saskatchewan, they are fans. They are true fans. When Calgary gets the ball here on this kickoff, Henry Burris will have to deal with deafening sound coming from this sold-out crowd.
And no one will talk about injuries for the final 2:12. They have outscored Calgary 21-0 in this 4th quarter. And a timeout's been called in the season now, 89-32 in the 4th quarter.
See what Saskatchewan just did there, Chris, is they went out, lined up their onside kick team to basically see what Calgary would do. Then they're going to go to the sideline and regroup with 2:12. There is tons of time to kick this ball deep. I was a little surprised to see that onside kick team out there for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but it was just to see how Calgary would play it. because if they put their hands team on, which is what you put on against an onside kick, you're not as good on a return.
Remember, the wind is at their back. They've already put one through the end zone, so Jamie Borum's got plenty of leg to get him deep. Last kickoff was covered by Sebastian Clovis, and Calgary didn't get beyond the 25.
They're still in onside kick mode.
A lot of open field if he squibs it down around the 40 or the 30.
No question, and they have a DB and James Patrick right beside Borum to chase it down.
Borum will kick it away deep. Al back inside his 5. And covered at the 25, and this place is on fire.
That's why Ken Miller did that. He put his onside kick team in to limit the return. A hands team is not big on the return. All they want to do is recover the football, and now the 13th man gets onside with this Saskatchewan defense, and Henry Burr is going to have to deal with that.
First down, Joffrey Reynolds. Surrounded.
No, sir. Turned his shoulders to the sideline, and that allows the pursuit for Saskatchewan to get there. And this is what the Rider defense wants, 2nd and long.
Been some dramatic come-from-behind wins in this 6-0 streak. Is there one more in the cards? 2nd and 9. Henry tried to silence them, and Brian Thelwell with a big catch in front of Omar Morgan. And a first down for the Stamps with 1:39 left.
Omar Morgan left the game in the first half. He was feeling like he had headaches. He was in good position, and Ryan Thelwell wins the fight for the ball across the middle. Doesn't get any bigger than that for Thelwell.
Couple of big catches in the game for Thelwell, who has been overlooked much of the year. Clock running. Reynolds again, and stopped. Will that first down be enough? That's the second time Marcus Adams has been involved in a stop of Joffrey Reynolds. Now the clock stops, 1:18 to go.
Well, Anton McKenzie ran over to try and get a timeout.
Timeout's been burned. With 78 seconds to go. And the Roughriders, with a stop on the next play, will have enough time to have control of their own destiny. Good question from our guys in the truck. Do you hand off here to keep the clock running, or do you go to the air with a better option of getting another first down?
I think you play football, you play to win. If you're Henry Burris, you get back in there and you throw a first down like you did last play to Ryan Thelwell. If you get too conservative and give the ball back, basically, you're going to give Saskatchewan so much momentum, you may not be able to stop them. I say you go.
This crowd getting their money's worth in the fourth quarter. Roughriders trailed 30-4. Out of the shotgun underneath, Kenyon Rimbo. Another huge first down, and that's the silencer here at Mosaic.
And that's how a team matures. That's how a team like Ray Morrison reported on the sideline with John Hofnagel talking about, we have a young squad. We face challenges, and at times we haven't responded the way we've needed to respond. You play aggressively, you play to win. That's how you mature as a football team. That's what they did on this play. Henry Burris, lots of poise and composure in the pocket, finds Rambo.
A league-leading 41st catch for Rambo. And now the Stamps just have to avoid a mistake. Reynolds. Across midfield to the 52.
And now John Hufnagel can pound it in there a couple of times, punt the ball, or he may be able to kill it.
He's been one of the headline stories tonight, Joffrey Reynolds.
Averaging 10 carries a game coming in tonight. Doubled that and more. And that has been a difference maker for the Stampeders.
Second and 7. And Reynolds pushed back at the line. 23 seconds left. The timeout's been used. There's Scott Schultz has been wearing 99. The jersey ripped right off him in the first half. And so he's gone to a different number. And 23 seconds left in the perfect season. Will they get one play, one last gasp, depending on how the Stamps use the clock?
Well, they're leaving Burris. They're leaving Burris in there. They'll run it down. They get 20 seconds in the huddle. They'll run it all the way down. They don't want to put the punt team on the field. They've already had one block tonight. But you can see why these fans in Saskatchewan love their football team. They should have been out of this one after 3 quarters.
Time count's been taken.
Time count violation. Calgary, number 1. 10-yard penalty. Remains third down.
Now Burris can take the snap, run around, fall down, and should be able to kill the remainder of this football game. But that's why these fans here love this team. They battle. They had more injuries tonight. They were down and out in the first half. They kept fighting, got to within 5. And a couple of clutch catches.
Stamps may not have played 4 full quarters, but they played enough. Burris is going to air it out to end the game. There is no time on the clock. The perfect season is done, and John Hufnagel's team holds on. George Cortez, a little head shake about that fourth quarter getting a little too interesting. Time now for the TSN turning point. Surprisingly, it went right down to the wire.
Well, it didn't look like it would, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders had so much momentum. Calgary had to get a first down with around 2 minutes to go, and Henry Burris hits Ryan Thelwell in tight coverage over the middle against Omar Morgan, the veteran. That first down allowed the Stampeders to kill the clock.
And the TSN Turning Point is brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. Well, the perfect season over for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Boy, they made it interesting. They are now 6-1, and the Calgary Stampeders have ended a 2-game losing streak and now go over 500. 30-25, the final from Mosaic. Hope you enjoyed it. So long from Regina. SportsCenter is next.